Jeff, Zach, thanks for joining me.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, we are talking about retail, which has been doing pretty well. But apparently one of the side effects of that is a lot of local stores are getting pushed out, having trouble renewal or getting space, in favor of national tenants with better credit ratings. Um, we're seeing that nearly 6 in 10 small businesses said their rents increased over the past 6 months. More than half of those independent retailers couldn't pay their full rent in September. That's according to Alignable. Rising rent prices are coming on top of other hardships, including like labor costs going up. But we're seeing a lot of like those kind of local mom and pop stores really struggling, partly because retail is doing well, and there's a lot of national tenants with good credit ratings that are willing to pay up for the spaces. Some of you guys thoughts in what we're seeing here in the retail space?
Oh, Jeff, you want to go or you want me to jump in?
Look, I've got my thoughts, but go ahead first.
Oh, no,
It's
after
fine.
you.
Like, I think to some degree, this article kind of fails to mention that pretty much in every asset class, you're going to have a rent increase. For almost every tenant, doesn't matter large or small. They're called rental escalations, and it's pretty standard. Retail has a whole lot of different lease structures where there's some form of rent increase, some form of income, capture, et cetera. I mean, it gets crazy. So, from the side of mom and pops, I think some of it is, lack of knowledge maybe on how they should, or maybe what they should be or should have been negotiating through the lease, or through the lease negotiations. But I mean, there's a lot that goes into it that I don't think this article necessarily touches on.
Well, I mean, I will, my 2 cents. I'm too familiar with this. I grew up in Bethesda, Maryland, and the number of restaurants per, I guess, per capita or per 1 square mile in the Bethesda Triangle is what it was called, was more restaurants than anywhere else in the United States. And they were all low rise mom and pops, home cooked food. And it was really great. And it was a huge restaurant scene. Um, if you go to Bethesda today, it's basically turned into a city. They're all high rises. The cost of those high rises, the property taxes, the utilities, the cost of development are so high that the rents have basically tripled. And this is over
Yeah.
the last like 5 to 10 years. So without rental increases, those mom and pops they're not able to afford the space anymore because rent went from like 20 bucks a foot on a gross basis to 80 bucks a foot on a triple net basis. And they don't have the ability to pass that through to their customers. I mean, you go in and it's like an $8 bowl of soup. You can't go in and it's mom and pop and all of a sudden make it a $28 bowl of soup. No one's going to buy it. So you're going to lose all your clientele and they get squeezed. So I see a lot of that happen in that level of retail, and that's where the national guys are coming in. Um, a lot of that has happened in other facets of retail as well. I mean, you see it in big box stores where discerning shoppers aren't paying the price increases for manufacturers. Macy's closes. Nordstrom changed what they did into an experiential. They added um, I saw one the other day. They had a lounge area with college football on and a beer and wine bar so that you could sit there and have beer and wine and watch college football while you're shopping. And
Or
they got
while
people
your
to,
significant other is shopping.
Yeah.
that could be true too. But I mean, you've got people in the store to, do that. And mom and pop, they're not going to go in and sell you a $2 beer. I mean, it's going to cost them more than that to buy the beer. Nordstrom will take that as a loss because they're selling stuff on the other side. So it's a lot harder for mom and pops from where I'm sitting to kind of keep up with that. And I don't think that this trend goes away. If anything, you've got to have mom and pops kind of like band together to create small groups. Maybe they have a chance that way. Otherwise, you're pretty much getting squeezed out and you're moving to different areas of the country that are less expensive.
I completely agree with Zach, and we've seen in the data. We've seen in a lot of places where foot traffic for retail has gone down, and the dollar value being sold per square foot's gone up. And what that means is it's been a movement to higher end, a lot of times luxury items at higher price points. Um, we're seeing that. We're seeing that a lot of the retail that's thriving right now is the kind of stuff where it's like, hey, if I'm going to spend this much for a purse, or if I'm going to spend this much for a watch, I'm not ordering it online. I need to go and physically feel it. And the
Right.
stuff that you can order online, or the stuff that, like restaurants where there's still like just a ton of competition and you don't have huge price points for most of them, they're really struggling. Now, one thing I would say to landlords is if you have a fairly even situation between a national and a local, sometimes it really merits to being with the local guy. I can remember during COVID, um, where some of the national tenants just said, "We've got the money, but we're not paying our rent. Go pound sand." Talk to
Yeah,
our legal department. And all the mom and paws I had experience dealing with were in good faith trying to negotiate or pay you or work out deals. So
and
so
they
I
did
would,
what they were supposed to do, hundred
yeah.
percent.
So I would say, hey, yes, I agree with Zach. We are going to this trend to more and more national in retail. But I would say, as a landlord, if there's an opportunity for you to buck the trend, for a tenant that you have a good relationship or like, rather than national, sometimes it makes sense to try to get that mix where you're not too heavy on the national than you need to be.
Well, look, on
Yeah.
the other side of it, as well, it's like, in areas in Florida where I, venture, and even where I live, I've seen higher end restaurants moving to, smaller, retail strip plazas instead of being in, larger standalone centers where they're having to cover everything. So, I wasn't trying to intend or be dismissive about, the mom and pops, knowledge. I think some of it happened a long time ago, and some of those leases are starting to mature, and now they're having to figure out what they're going to do with rising prices.
Yeah, that's true too.
Okay.
Good save,
Well,
Jeff.
thanks. Yeah. Well, thanks for the insights, guys. I think this is a trend that's going to be running for a while. But if you think we got something wrong, let us know in the comments section. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and visit our website, selectfincap.com, and register for our free weekly newsletter, where you also get a look at upcoming exclusive commercial real estate investment opportunities, possibly in the retail space. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Steve.